Welcome back to the Titanium Hangar. Happy Friday, everybody. Hope everybody is doing well this weekend. Today I want to talk to you about a concept. Is it more fun to buy your Masterpiece Transformers or sell? This can really be with pretty much anything, any toy line, any collectible, anything that you have going on out there. But we're going to talk about Masterpiece Transformers because it's Friday, and I did get a lot of information from last week's video. Is your collection too big? And a lot of people did say they found some joy in selling. So we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about the good or the pluses and minuses of buying, the pluses and minuses of selling, and then the not so fun part at the end. I am going to remind everybody about this 1099K. I'm going to give you a couple of examples on how people are going to be financially devastated on this. And it blows my mind that the media is not talking about it, and I know exactly why. I'm going to talk about all this coming up. Starting with the fun aspect, we're going to talk about the buying first, then the selling. And I want to say that I'm going to be using some of these pictures from the 17,000 subscriber special. I don't know if you noticed, but it's time for me to start working on the 18,000 subscriber special. So I want to say thanks to everybody. If you want to get some pictures in by then, I'll be working that over this next week. Anyway, the first point is it's new and exciting. It's fun. When you first start out collecting, and the buying is the fun part, the acquiring these is the fun part, and getting to experience what should have been when we were kids. Really, the buying is fun because these figures look the way they should have looked versus what we got back in the day. This is the perfect picture to show this point, to showcase this point of the buying of these new Masterpiece Transformers and getting what we've always wanted. It's really fun, exciting times. The next point I want to show is the deals and the sales. It's really kind of hard to capture all of the sales on one picture, so I found this at TF Source. There's a handful of things here that are pretty well priced, like the Make Toys Starscream, and that Transart Transmutate's pretty cool, the Skateboard Gorilla Transart. But there are tons of deals and sales right now, and we're probably going into the biggest sales event time of the year. We have the Black Friday sales, we got all the holiday sales, and everybody is fighting for that. This is a good time to start collecting, and it's a lot of fun. So is buying fun? Yeah, when you get them real cheap. And then the options that are out there, like if you just started out collecting, or even if you've been collecting, you said, I'd like to try out a different Springer. I'd like to have 3 Springers, one in each mode, and I'd like to have different companies' Springers in each mode. There are so many options for Springer for whatever reason, and there's other figures that's the same way. You could probably line up more Optimus Primes, probably, and we're going to see that in one of my review videos. And oddly enough, Fans Toys, the Apache, it seemed like it would never sell out, but it's starting to sell out. Shows these already sold out. I'm wondering how long till the TF Source sells out, but all these, we've seen good deals on them, but they're great options, and most of these are really decent options. You really can't go wrong with hardly any of them. And we could probably do this all day with every single character. The buying part is also a whole lot of fun when there's new characters and things that we've never seen before. So getting the Omnibots from X-Transbots, getting the Runabout and Runamuck from X-Transbots, and then getting the Punch Counter Punch, both available right now at Show Z. All this stuff's available at Show Z, and it's really fun, really exciting. And the thing about it is that that's the fun part of buying, is getting something that's never really existed in a Masterpiece form in a modern, upgraded, upscaled form. But not every part of collecting is rainbows and unicorns. There are some negatives to buying. When it comes to buying, maybe you're new to collecting and you weren't around during the Unicron HasLab, which I have to say a lot of people found my channel with the Unicron HasLab. That was the first videos of mine that they saw. And that's been a long time ago, by the way. But this sucker's going for a loose one that I don't even know what kind of condition it is like $1,500. And then new in the box, they're pushing around $2,000. And it was originally $600, and during that funding campaign, it was too expensive at $600, way too expensive, and now they sell for $2,000. Now I hear people getting real good deals at toy shows, and if they got a friend of a friend of a friend, letting them have it for a good deal. So there's ways to acquire it. The buying is a little frustrating trying to get something like this, and there's a lot of the old Transbots Fans Toys, the Fans Toys dinos that are recolored, and the very exclusive short run figures. Those are hard to get. That's a downside to buying. Takes the fun, sucks the fun out of the buying. So the other one that kind of sucks for buying is missing pre-orders. But I have to say, with the really down economy and the decrease in collectors and the shrinking market, it's not as big of a problem as it used to be. So this is the only real modern pre-order that's sold out, that's hard to get, and that's just a recolor of the Fans Toys Jive. It's a toy color recolor. Does look a lot more interesting than the standard Toon color variation. Both are great figures, but this one sold out relatively quickly. But lucky for us, the pre-order situation isn't as big of a deal. I'm starting to feel like we're mirroring 2018. 2018, a lot of the Fans Toys stuff sat there. The Hot Rod and their RC, their Six Shot, the Hydra. And the only one that really sold pretty quickly was Quietus. And it still was up for sale or pre-order. And I think it was even in stock for a couple of months till it sold out. But we're seeing it more mirroring 2018 than, say, 2020 or 21 or 2. The other downside is having to try to get your stuff from eBay, and I just find this HasLab Unicron situation to be the one most people bring up to me or say something about or type it in the comments or whatever. So that's why I keep using this example in this video. But trying to go to eBay and get it, there's a couple of things here. If your state charges tax, well, you got to pay the tax on it. The shipping is ridiculous on some of these, especially this one. And with that reverting to this, as opposed to getting it from retailers, that is a downside to the buying. Sucks fun out. And then another frustrating part about buying is if your stuff gets lost in shipping. And I haven't personally had very many issues in almost 30 years of collecting. I have not had the issue, but I hear a lot of people that do. And I think that there's other factors that play into people that are having the problems, such as your location, the area you are, how much volume's getting pushed through your hubs and distribution centers and all those kinds of things. And with that, dumb luck also is part of it. But I've had pretty good luck. Now I've jinxed myself, I'm sure. But I hear a lot of people that have had issues with shipping and lost packages and stuff not showing up. And then trackings that just stop out of nowhere. They just stop. And that was another problem, is tracking stop and then pick up like a month later. But yes, this is definitely a problem, a downside to buying. And even if, let's say, you get your money back on the item, by the time you get your money back, the item's sold out wherever you're trying to get it from. All right, now let's switch to selling. What is the fun in selling? Clearing up space. If you start selling your stuff, your collection room's going to look like this, and that's great. No, probably not. We really don't want it to look like that, to tell you the truth. That's too bare. I like this picture of a collection room that is very clean and neat and organized and not overly crammed with stuff, and you can enjoy the space. Very nice. Very well done right here. And so with that, when you start selling, you start clearing up space. Unanimously, the number one benefit for selling was space, clearing up space, and being able to enjoy your collection because of that. I also think this picture really exemplifies, these are some pictures that were submitted in the 17K sub special, 18K's coming, but I want to point out that there's empty spaces in this display specifically for future planning. That's another thing that happens when you sell your stuff off to buy other stuff, probably, that you have future planning, future space, future planning. You can fit it in there, and I love to see that, and I wish I was better at this. And I see this, and I'm very impressed, very impressive. I like it when I can see stuff like this. But this is part of the joy of selling. The next point is you make other collectors happy. And you may say, some of these people look a little too old to be collecting. By the way, that's next week's video, collecting in your 70s, 25 years from now, what it'll look like. I'm talking about that next week. But when you sell your old stuff, somebody's out there looking for it, and maybe you give them a good deal, you make another collector happy. And really, that is another really good point to it. And even though you don't set out intending to do it like, hey, I want to make someone's day-to-day, once it's done and you see how happy they are, I've had some, especially my friends, they'll send me pictures of their poses and as they set it up and their shelf and all that kind of stuff. And that's fun. It does feel good. You feel good. Like, you know what? I passed it to them what I paid for it 8 years ago or 5 years ago. And that's a whole lot of fun in itself. And it's not something you set out doing initially, probably. And some people will say, yeah, that's what my goal was. No, it usually isn't. But it is a fun, happy side effect. So obviously those are the fun parts, the joyful parts of the selling. Well, let's get to the reality of the negative parts of selling. And when you're selling your stuff and you go to look up comparables on, say, eBay, and let me just say this, eBay, you're going to get way more than Facebook and the marketplace and the groups and all that kind of stuff. So when you go do your comparables and you see how that someone's got, you want to get rid of your Tesla 1.0 and somebody can't get rid of theirs at 90 with free shipping, and you're sitting there, but I paid $400 for this thing a few years ago and I can't get 90 out of it. That's the downside. You have to be realistic, and you got to undercut that. If you got a Tesla you want to sell, and this $90, I just looked at it just to see if it was broken or messed up, and it looks like it's in really good shape, like it's brand new. You're going to need to put yours up for 70 or something to undercut this guy. That's the downside. It's the downside to selling, especially right now, is you're going to sell your stuff way cheaper than you're going to find out what the real value is. The real value is only what somebody else is going to pay you. And so that's a huge downside of selling. So if you're not willing to accept taking a loss on stuff, you're probably not going to move much. And that's just the reality of 2023. And it's probably going to get even worse in 2024. Also, if you're trying to get close to what you think a value is on something, you have a long timeline. You need to say, all right, it's going to take a few years to sell all this stuff for what I want, unless you're practically giving the stuff away at a third of what you paid, half what you paid. And so that is the problem. It's a long road to sell stuff. And a lot of your stuff's going to go unsold. I mean, the reality is you're not going to find a buyer for absolutely everything you're selling unless you sell it off in a big bundle to someone. And that's something I advise. If there's something that's you see nobody wants to buy, bundle it up with something else that somebody really, really wants and be like, dude, I'm selling these 4 figures together, or figure out something along those lines. I mean, maybe you technically are giving away the less desirable figure for free, but you just don't see it and it doesn't bother you as much. But with that, selling is a long road and it's full of a lot of issues. There's a lot of other issues, such as buyers not paying in a timely manner, or just not paying at all, or ghosting on you and those kinds of things. That's just the way the world works, especially in 2023. Super excited and interested, and you get 100 messages, and then, all right, that'll be $100, and then never hear from them again. That's just the way it works, and I actually don't care about that kind of stuff, because I really just want to find, if I'm going to sell something, I want to find buyers that are actually going to pay. But it really frustrates a lot of people to no extent. Also, the wasting of time. Wasting time is always a problem. If they've just wasted your time, they didn't buy your item or pay for it. I mean, there's just a lot of frustrations when it comes to this. And then the one thing, though, I just love to laugh about this. Yeah, I'll sell you my Tesla for $30, and you get let me ask my wife. That's the funniest response. I don't know. At this point, I think whoever types that in or says it out loud is really just joking. At this point, I don't think any adult male means it when they say that. Now, if you're buying like a $2,000 Unicron, you might want to have a discussion. But a $30 toy or a $50 toy, and you got to ask your wife. You gotta wonder, what should you be collecting at all? So, I mean, these are a lot of issues that everyone deals with. But at this point, this meme joke it's kind of funny. Okay, so obviously you're going to have the other issue of fees from PayPal's and the eBays and all that. But now we've got this new tax $600 reporting threshold for 1099K. It used to be 20,000 and 200 transactions. Now it's 600. They're saying that they're closing tax loopholes and they're trying to get the revenue that should have been paid already and all this kind of stuff. And I'm going to go a little bit deeper into that aspect. But if you're just want to get the quick information, you're going to get a 1099K if you sell more than $600. I calculated on eBay, if you sold more than $526, that would also include any sales tax. For whatever reason, they add that to you, and I don't know if that goes all the way through to the 1099K. And then, of course, the shipping is counted as money that you received. And then you have to deduct all that, get with your tax preparer, professional, all that kind of stuff. But make sure this is on your tax form. Most of the people that are going to be getting the 1099K, which they estimate 80 million people will receive one for the first time ever. And with that, most of the people that are going to be getting one for the first time generally are the same group of people that are there first in line to get their taxes done, like January 31st, February 1st, and they're just taking their W-2. These generally take a little bit longer to receive than your W-2. So if you go with your W-2 and get your taxes done and this comes in later, they're literally just going to send you a bill for like $2,000. Heed my warning. Make sure this 1099K is on your tax filing for this upcoming year. I got two quick stories, I guess you could say. These are examples. One of my friends said that he was cash apping his son $100 for his wedding, and I said, "Oh, do you do that very often?" He says, "Yeah, I'll probably cash app him $2,000 or $3,000 this year." I was like, "Well, he's going to get a 1099K, and you better tell him to make sure he reports that 1099K." He's like, "No. I put a note down in there in the notes gift." Well, that's not going to change the Cash App to not generate a 1099K. The fact that you typed in gift in the bottom. He's still going to get it. He's still going to have to do something with it. And if he doesn't, he will literally get an adjustment sent to him for more money. And that's more money owed, by the way. Another friend of mine he was kind of a flipper back in the day, but he had a job for a while and just worked a lot. And then he decided he didn't want to work a lot and he wants to go kind of back to flipping. And he sold a lot of stuff really fast, made a lot of money, a lot of it online. And I told him, this isn't like the olden days, my friend. You're going to be getting a 1099K in the mail and you better report it. And he was fully planning on not reporting it. And I let him know, you need to take it to your accountant. And he even has an accountant. So you need to take it to your accountant because you know what's going to happen. And I hope he heeds my warning. I hope they all heed my warnings. But who knows? Now back to why did they do this overall. There's a whole lot of stuff, but in the whole Destruction of America plan, I forgot what they called it, America Rescue Plan, it's America Destruction Plan of 2021, they set this whole plan in place. Now, they know for a fact that most of the people, that the 80 million people this going to affect, have never dealt with this before. Most of them are going to lose their free filing because it's going to make it a complex tax form. It's no longer going to be a 1040EZ. They're going to lose. Of course, they will probably owe more, but these people also are selling everything at a loss. For the most part, most people, non-collectors, are selling their stuff at a loss. They're selling stuff that they bought 10 years ago and it's used and it's junk and they're selling it 90% less. And there's really, even though they say in this article there's a way to tell a difference and it's just not going to show up, but PayPal and eBay, they have no idea if you're selling a $700 couch that you paid $1,400 for. They don't know. It's still going to show up on there. You're still going to have to do something with it. And most average people don't have documentation to prove it. They don't have good record keeping because everything they're selling is personal. They say if it's a personal, it's not a big deal. It's only for business. But everything is personal that they're selling. So how do you ascertain it? How do you tell the difference? You don't. You have to deal with this 1099K. And so why is the media not talking about this? Why are you not hearing reminders about this? Heads up, guys. Because you probably will see like a 15-second blurb in how to prepare for your taxes, and it'll be like on January 16th, you should be getting your tax forms in the mail. Remember the 1099K, make sure you include it. That's all you're going to hear, and they're not going to go any deeper. They're not going to tell you that if you don't report it, they're literally just going to print an adjustment, and they're going to say, hey, you sold $5,000 worth of stuff, now you owe us $2,000. You owe us all the penalties, you owe us all this stuff, because that's how it works, and they're not going to tell you about this. They're too busy doing the fluff pieces, or right now I don't even want to talk about what they're talking about on the news all the time now. And so with that, why do they not want to bring this about? Well, because the media is in bed with the current administration and regime that's in place, and they don't want to make them look bad in an election year. But no way, they'll make themselves look bad in an election year, especially when people start getting these 1099Ks and they start getting these adjustment letters during an election year. That's almost suicide. But anyway, I should have made a whole separate video about the 1099K situation, but I got to really drill it home to everyone. Do not leave it off your tax return. But what do you think is more fun? Is it more fun to buy or is it more fun to sell? Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe, and Titanium Hanger out.